The Tokyo Olympics opening ceremony is underway after a tumultuous year overshadowed by the pandemic. And it's a ceremony like no other. A moment of silence has been observed to remember those who died because of COVID-19. Performances have begun in an almost empty stadium. For the first time, only about 950 spectators have been allowed in to watch. The Olympics have faced months of opposition because of fears it could become a super spreader event. But Japan is hoping it will serve as a beacon of hope to the world. Michio Ishida joins us from outside the new National Stadium in Tokyo. Michio, after years of preparation, it's finally here, but it is a very different ceremony from what people were used to.
That's right. It took 8 years to prepare for this Tokyo Olympic Games, plus a year of delay for the first time ever for an Olympic Games. Of course, there were Olympic Games in the past that were canceled due to the war, but never a delayed Olympic Games. Well, finally, as you can see, the Olympic Stadium is lit up, and we have people surrounding the Olympic Stadium, hoping that they can catch a glimpse of the fireworks. Well, the Olympic Stadium behind me was built for this Olympic Games. It can accommodate 68,000 fans, but today, there are only about 950 people out there. And also 20 head of state, prime ministers, and Emperor Naruhito is there to open the Olympic Games. We hear that there are no other imperial family members attending the opening ceremony, which is rare. Now, many of the imperial family members are actually honorary chair of sporting associations. So because of that reason, and because the imperial family members love sports, it is unusual that they will not attend such big ceremonies. Well, we have to also talk about the fact that this Olympic Games' key purpose is to pay tribute to the Tohoku area, which was devastated by the 2011 big earthquake of magnitude 9, which triggered a huge tsunamis and the nuclear meltdown. If you can recall, more than 18,000 people, 100 died or are still missing. So they were paid tribute to, and also the healthcare workers around the world who are still fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we've been hearing that because fans cannot be inside the stadium, this is more like a virtual Olympic opening ceremony with a lot of technology used, so people who are at home watching the screen can enjoy the Olympic Games, with lots of color. But there are lots of Japanese elements also sprinkled in the opening ceremonies. I do have to mention some of the unfortunate incidents that have happened dealing with this opening ceremony. There have been two main producers of this opening ceremony who had to step down because of scandals. One, a man who was a comedian 20 years ago. He used the Holocaust in his comedy, which did not sit well with the Japanese government. So he was fired. And there was another one. He was reported to have been the bully when he was a student, and he also bullied people with disabilities. Of course, this did not sit well with the government. And this Olympic Games, a key message is diversity and also gender equality. And there were some key figures who, criticized, not criticized, but discriminated women. And so that did not sit well. And that was former Prime Minister Yoshiro Mori, who was president of Tokyo 2020. So all these incidents have occurred related to this Olympic Games.
Yeah. Michio, we have been looking at some pretty impressive pictures coming from inside the stadium. Has there been a shift at all in public opposition now that things are underway?
Well, a few months ago, media polls said that about 80% of the public were opposed to hosting the Olympic Games here in Tokyo, with the COVID-19 situation rising, and today it's in a state of emergency. But then those opinion polls changed because the Japanese people started to give up, opposing. Because today, it's underway. Outside, we're actually seeing lots of protesters. They're calling for the Olympic Games to be canceled. And they're being stopped by police. We're hearing that there's about 60,000 police force out there trying to control them, trying to stop them. So indeed, the situation is still not positive in terms of how it's turning out. And I actually talked to some people on the streets. They were enjoying during the day the blue impulse flying and creating the 5 rings of the Olympic symbol. Let's hear from some of them of their reactions to hosting the Olympic Games.
僕は賛成ですけど。
その理由は？
いや理由も何もね、自国で開催するオリンピックですから。
素直には喜べないですね。やっぱりコロナウイルスがね、こんだけ感染が広がっている中で開催されてるので。
学校でその修学旅行とかがなくなるかもみたいな感じの話が学校ではやってるので、あんまりもうオリンピックとかは全然話してないです。
Well, this is the biggest Olympic Games ever, with 339 events in 42 venues across 9 prefectures. And it's hoped that this Olympic Games will serve as a good example of how to hold big festive events at a time of the pandemic.
Michiru Yoshida live at the opening ceremony of the Olympics. Thank you. The shadow of COVID-19 continues to loom large over the Games. Tokyo has reported more than 1,300 new coronavirus cases. More cases are also being detected among Olympians. 3 new cases have been added, taking the total to 11. When Games officials and media personnel are included, there are more than 100 cases linked to the Tokyo Games. Tokyo is currently under a state of emergency. Bars and restaurants must shut by 8 in the evening and cannot sell alcohol.